Hey, hello YouTube world. Thanks for checking in the Khaliis Take. The first time to the channel, please like, subscribe. Also, please hit that notification bell so you can get the newest and the bonus content we put out on weekends. We put out videos every day, so you won't miss any content here. So let me just go ahead and jump right into this here. This game tonight is going to say a lot about what the Clippers are made of also, because they have to find a way to tie the series, of course. You can't go down 3-1 and expect to come back and, and expect to just, fight with your back against the wall all the time. And, you can do that some, you could do it, for a good amount of time. But after a while, it's like, it takes a lot of energy out of you. It's a lot of wear and tear on your body. It's a lot of wear and tear mentally. And, the Clippers just don't need anything extra like that. They need to be, playing at their best. They need to understand that, hey, we're the better team in the series and we need to play like it consistently. Now, what they got from Paul George last game was amazing. I called Paul George out basically a couple videos or a video before that. And, he shut me up. And I hope he continues to do that same thing, because we're going to need that same energy from Paul George going forward. And that's just the way it's going to have to be. It's really no other way to look at it. I mean, when I look at these games that they've played so far, Paul George could have dominated more than just Friday night's game, because I feel like he has, the upper hand in this series just as much as I feel like Kawhi Leonard does. Offensively, it's just that, with Kawhi Leonard, we're expecting him to guard Donovan Mitchell. So I'm not sure if Kawhi can sustain playing at the highest level. He's playing at 34 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists. I'm not sure if he can sustain that the whole time if he takes Donovan Mitchell the whole series. Now, I know Kawhi, he'll play on him maybe like a quarter or two or something like that and slack off a little bit so he can conserve some of his offensive energy, which is kind of a good thing, because, the Clippers kind of need, Kawhi Leonard's offense, I would say. They're a really good team, but they're a great team when Kawhi Leonard's playing the way he should, So, it's going to be hard to ask him to guard Donovan Mitchell and, produce the points, but that's what has to happen. That's what the Clippers need, because they can't put him on Donovan the whole game and ask Paul George to take over, because that's probably not going to happen, because Paul George doesn't play consistent enough. And, and that's one thing I wanted to harp on too. I hope from this point out, Paul George can play a little bit more consistent, offensively, because they're really going to need it. And to be honest with you, if Paul George is playing, maybe don't have to give 30 points, but he can give a consistent 24, 25 every game, consistently shooting pretty efficient from the field. I mean, the Clippers won't find themselves down 0-2 and, 3-2 in none of these series. The Clippers will actually find themselves up in the series, you know what I'm saying? And with that being said, I just need to see the Clippers play to that level. You know what I'm saying? I'm not worried about Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi is just going to be Kawhi. When Kawhi is not scoring at his best, he'll find ways to impact the game at another level. That's just what he does. You know what I'm saying? So we're not worried about him. We just want to see the rest of the crew come with him. Now, Reggie Jackson's been stellar. He has been awesome. So we definitely can't say anything about him. But I'm wondering where Marcus Morris is. I need to see Marcus Morris. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, and, like I said, if we just get consistency, a consistent 25 out of Paul George on some efficient shooting, the Clippers will find themselves up in these series, and they won't find themselves down 0-2. I mean, Paul George is averaging over 20 plus points in the playoffs this year, which is, pretty good. But at the same time, if he could shoot a better percentage, efficiency wise, it'll take a lot of pressure off Kawhi. It'll take a lot of pressure off the team, and it'll take a lot of pressure off of the role players. Because I think the biggest problem with the Clippers is we're expecting a lot out of their role players, because Paul George isn't playing the version of basketball consistently that he played the other night, which is Friday. Excuse me. So when you look at that in its entirety, yeah, we can point to the other guys that need to step up and everything, because they do. The other guys do need to step up. It's a team game. It's a team sport for a reason. You know what I'm saying? And I agree. The other guys do have to step up. They do have to step in. They do have to play a significant role to where they're actually a factor in the series. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, when you have two superstars or supposedly superstars, you know, you have to get the production out of them, which makes the other guy's job easier. You know, it takes less pressure off Marcus Morris to hit 5 or 6 threes. If Paul George is playing efficient and well like he's supposed to, it takes more pressure off of Reggie Jackson when Paul George is playing the way he's supposed to. You know what I'm saying? Paul George is the key to the Clippers' success. I mean, if Paul George is giving you a consistent 25 with 40%, 40 plus, 45+% shooting consistently, and, you know, shooting really good from the field, you know, shooting like 50% almost every game, you know, somewhere in that range, it just makes the Clippers more of a dangerous team, and it takes less pressure off the other guys, because just let's be honest, the other guys should score 15, 16, you know, something like that. They shouldn't have to score 20. Like Reggie Jackson's been scoring 20 plus points, seem like the last several games, because Paul George shooting has been so atrocious. Paul George really isn't helping the Clippers. That's the reason why Reggie Jackson had to put up the points he had to put up, and the points he's putting up now just to keep him afloat in games, because a lot of games Paul George is struggling. Now, there are times where Kawhi struggles too, but at the same time, more times than not, we know we're going to get out of Kawhi. We know how great of a player he is. When Kawhi Leonard's not scoring well, he does other things well. Like if you look at this last game Friday night, he didn't start off the first half really good at all. He started off like 4 for 12, you know, shooting very low percentage from the field. He couldn't get his jump shot going. He took some high quality shots, but the shots just weren't falling the way they usually do for him, not in the first half. But what are the other things he did? He was guarding Donovan Mitchell in the first quarter. Donovan Mitchell didn't score the first quarter. That's a huge plus for the Clippers. Huge plus. So then, you know, in the second quarter, I think he got a steal or two, you know, on defense, you know, getting rebounds, snatching rebounds over, you know, Gobert in the paint, you know, just doing the little things. And this is why I say you can't teach what Kawhi Leonard knows. Kawhi Leonard knows basketball to another level. He knows it, he sees it from a different angle. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is why I say he's so valuable to me, because this is why I always say he's my favorite player, because his value overrides a lot of players' talent. When you look at Kawhi Leonard, his value overrides talent. Paul George is probably more talented than Kawhi Leonard. But the reason why Kawhi Leonard's a better player is because of those intangibles, those little things. Kawhi Leonard's diving on the floor for loose balls. You've seen him do that. You've seen him get big steals, big defensive plays when teams need it. You know, it's like he does those little things along with the big things, making and taking big shots, hitting buzzer beaters, you know, all those type of things. You know, that's what he does. And it's like, we're not asking Paul George to be that, because you can't be that. You can't be him. Paul George himself said Kawhi Leonard is one of a kind. And he's truly right about that. Kawhi is one of a kind. There's not many players that can guard both ends of the floor the way that can play both ends of the floor the way Kawhi Leonard can. Kawhi Leonard can lock up another team's superstar for a quarter and a half, damn near 2 quarters, or damn near a whole game if he chose to play like that, and still put up 25, 30 points on the other end. That's just how good Kawhi Leonard is. You know what I'm saying? So you can't take that from him. But at the same time, the Clippers, their biggest weakness is Paul George, because like I said, even though Paul George has put up 20 plus points in these last several games since they've been in the playoffs, they haven't been a dominating 20 something points. They haven't been, you know, right. I mean, he's had 1 or 2 games where he played really good. You know, against the Dallas series in game 3, he played really astounded. You know, he played really great that game. It was great to see. Let me see. He played good in a couple other games as well, you know, but it's like his impact on the game hasn't been what a second best player or a second superstar type player impact should be. Not like it was Friday night. And this is what I'm saying. If they can get that type of production out of Paul George at least a couple of more times in this series, I mean, I think they win this series in probably 6 games. I mean, if they can, matter of fact, I'll say this: if they continuously get that type of production out of Paul George the rest of this series, the Clippers won't lose another game. Because it's like now your 2 superstars are playing to their level and the other guys are just feeding off of them. Reggie Jackson could score 19 instead of 25 or 27 points. Marcus Morris could score his 10 points, 12 points. Then you can have, the bench come in there and contribute the way they've contributed. And this is how the Clippers have to play. This is how they got to think. This is how they got to be. You know what I'm saying? It's got to run through your first 2 and let it trickle down as a domino effect, with the team. Don't put Paul George in position to be at his best. And that's what they have to do. They have to put Paul George in a position to be at his best. And, the one thing I don't like about the situation is, one thing Paul George said I didn't like. Honestly, I didn't like the fact where he was saying that, I'm just going to shoot and keep shooting. No, Paul George, you need to drive to the basket. You don't need to keep shooting, because a lot of times you shoot your team out of games. And it takes a Herculean effort from Kawhi and the rest of the crew to bring them back in the game, to keep them relevant so they can have a chance to win at the end. Paul George needs to be consistent at putting his head down, going to the basket, making the defense respect him. Because when Utah, I'm pretty sure when they play Utah tonight, Utah's going to come out with that zone defense. And if they come out with the zone defense, you've got to be prepared for it. You cannot sit there and just shoot if your jumper's not falling. You got to find a way to get in that paint. And hopefully they start Nicholas Batum, because Nicholas Batum at the 5 is really good because he's long, lengthy, and he gives Gobert a little bit of trouble because, he is, he has a very long wingspan. And, Gobert is not going to score as much, I don't think, with Nicholas Batum on him. And besides, when he has to guard Nicholas Batum, it's really bad for Gobert because he has to run out to the 3-point line, which means now there's more wide open lanes. There's more lanes wide open to get to the basket and score in the paint. And that's what the Clippers want to do. They want to be able to score in the paint and shoot the 3. They want a mixture, kind of like what they had last game. You know what I'm saying? But Nicholas Batum draws Rudy Gobert away from the paint because Rudy Gobert has to run out there at Nicholas Batum 3. Otherwise, Batum will be open all night for 3. And it's something about Nicholas Batum when he's shooting in those corners wide open or wherever he's at. Nicholas Batum can hurt you from 3. He really is. He's a better 3-point shooter than what people give him credit for. But that's going to have to be the game plan, But I know Utah are going to come out with that zone defense, and they're going to stifle the Clippers a little bit tonight. I know they are, but the Clippers have to find a way to punch back and punch harder because they know what Utah is planning on doing. They just have to find a way to attack it and beat it. And the way to do that is to get high quality shots and drive to the paint anytime you get an opportunity and get Rudy Gobert or whoever in foul trouble and make the game more difficult for Utah. Don't let it go easy flowing for them, because when the game is easy flowing for them, they just flow like they flow with a rhythm, the way they play. But when you knock them off their rhythm, that's when they play cruddy type, pesky type basketball. They're not really, the shots are not as fluid. The execution of their plays are not fluid. And that's the way you got to get at Utah, because if they're just playing relaxed, they're going to beat you. You know what I'm saying? Then Jordan Clarkson come in. If he's relaxed, well, you're probably definitely going to lose then. So the mindset tonight has to be do all the intangibles, do all the little things that's going to help you win and tie this series up. Don't worry about the big home run plays. Don't worry about none of that. If you can get, hypothetically, if the Clippers shoot, let's say 12 for 25 or 12 for 26 from the 3-point line, tonight as a team. As long as you play really good defense and you're taking high quality shots, and Kawhi is, playing Donovan Mitchell some, being efficient, and you get some efficiency out of Paul George, you could still find yourself winning this game. Even though Utah is going to shoot probably 33s, but if you're contesting a lot of their shots and they're missing a lot of those, you may only hit 12 or 26 3-pointers, but you're getting high quality shots, you're getting to the rim, and you're getting you're getting more efficiency from everywhere on the floor. And I mean, personally, I would like to see a stat line of Kawhi has 30, Paul George has 26, Reggie Jackson has 19, Marcus Morris has 17, Nicholas Batum, 17. And then, maybe like Luke Kennard or somebody that off the bench have 9, and, Terrence Mann have about 9 or 10. I would like to see a stat line like that, because if you can spread out the wealth of that much efficiency of scoring, it is going to throw Utah into mentally it's going to throw them into a world of trouble, because they're not going to know what hit them. Because Utah is going to all these games expecting Kawhi Leonard and Paul George to put up 30 apiece, and maybe one more guy might be in double figures. That's exactly what Utah is expecting every time they play against the Clippers, because the Clippers are a top-heavy team, and that's what a lot of their opponents think of them. They think of them as a really good team, but they think of them as really top-heavy. Even though the Clippers have hit a lot of threes this year, and Marcus Morris and all of them are good, but you have to understand, teams don't trust those other players. They expect Paul George and Kawhi to do their thing, but if they shut down the rest of them, that's their strategy. And that's everybody's strategy who have played the Clippers so far in this playoffs. But the Clippers can counteract that by getting a well-balanced attack. You don't need 50 from Kawhi Leonard, 45 from Kawhi Leonard to win these games. You don't need that. You have so much star power. You don't need that type of, Herculean effort. Now, I mean, at times you're going to need those. Don't get me wrong, but you have good enough talent on that team to not need, Paul George or Kawhi Leonard to go off of 40, 45 plus points. You don't really need them to do that, because you got Marcus Morris and Reggie Jackson and, hell, you even got Rondo on the bench. You got Boogie Cousins. I mean, Terrence Mann. You got a lot of Nicholas Batum. You got a lot of pieces there that can help you win a championship. You have a lot of pieces. And this is what I'm saying. If they have a balanced attack against Utah, then they'll beat Utah easily, because Utah is not really anticipating that. Utah is anticipating just the 2 top-heavy superstars and maybe a little bit of dose of Reggie Jackson or Marcus Morris. That's all they're anticipating. And when you have a team anticipating that type of, gameplay, you need to play in a different way, which is get everybody involved. Everybody needs to chip in. Everybody needs to feel like they're a part of the rotation, and everybody needs to chip in on the scoring end. There should be plenty of games we see the Clippers have all 5 starters in double figures, and the offense is flowing just perfect. And this is tonight's the game for them to do it, because, like I said, that's what the Utah Jazz are going to expect. The Clippers to be top heavy as hell, and that's where they're going to play them. But the Clippers can actually get the other players to buy in and play to that level, and get a lot of efficiency on both ends of the floor, which Utah's not expecting. Hey, it's a tie series. And, hey, I know Donovan Mitchell's going to come out tonight. I know he's going to be ready to go. I know he's going to be ready to, stand out and do his thing. But, hey, the Clippers can do it. The Clippers need this one. They need everyone going forward. I mean, honestly, I need the Clippers to win 3 straight now. And that's just the way it needs to be. So tonight's game, I'm just going to go ahead and say, I'm going to predict the score. Don't hold me to this. I'm going to go with 110-103 Clippers. It's going to be a lot closer than the last game. Because Utah is going to come out fighting, and we know that. But I think the Clippers can find a way. I think Kawhi and PG play around about the same they did this last game, and that's my take on it. We're going to see how it plays out. Hopefully, at the end of the night, the Clippers will be tied 2-2, and we take it back in Utah and take that one as well, and take the next one after that, hopefully. But we'll start tonight's game and leave it here. And hey, leave any comments in the comment section. Let me know what you think about tonight's game. Prediction, who wins, and let's talk about it. And like I always say, Cali out.